Podcast Network. I'm your host, Joe Gilbert. Once again our final preview show of the year, unless the NFL playoffs go to 9 teams or whatever.
Everyone goes to the
All
playoffs.
right, everyone goes to the playoffs. Taylor Jedrzejek, how are we doing?
Pretty good. Only got around another week of this, so
Yeah, we'll see. Before we get into everything, this is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Fantasy for first-time depositors. Enter in the code WFNY at checkout, and Underdog will match your deposit up to $100. It's a great platform for anyone tired of the DFS salary system. There's great game types, drafts every night, and for every sport. So don't forget to use WFNY at checkout to get your first deposit matched up to $100. That is Underdog Fantasy. Before we kind of kick off to the Browns news, kind of hard not to talk about, if we're talking about NFL football, got to talk about what happened in Buffalo on Monday night.
Cincinnati.
Cincinnati, yeah. In Cincinnati for Buffalo. Jamar Hamlin having a heart attack or heart situation. They haven't really went out and said what the official name of it was, but any kind of thoughts on just what we witnessed and what we witnessed is kind of.
I mean, that was a tough night to be not only a football fan, tough night to be someone who watches sports in general. That's not something you see a whole lot of. It's not something you want to see. It's not something that football fans have really seen to that extent at any point in the last however many years. I know someone brought up that, there has been a death on an NFL field before, a Lions player, I believe in the 80s. But this was this probably was going to be the most watched NFL game of the year. I'm sure that many people were watching it to start, and you're less than what was there, like 8 minutes or something to go in the first quarter when that happened. And so what went from what was going to be probably the NFL's biggest night of the regular season turned into just fear.
Yeah.
It was, and there's not a lot of people who can probably relate to it, but I watch NASCAR pretty regularly. Monday night, I felt feelings that I hadn't felt since the Daytona 500 in 2020. And those were not feelings I ever wanted to feel again. So it's tough. I'm glad that we've gotten to the point where we are now, where we know that he's at least like awake and alert and seems to still have his full mental capabilities.
Yep.
Even if he never has his full physical capabilities again, he can still carry on life.
Yeah. 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 It was scary, man. It was you kind of, like, especially in my lifetime, like Dale Earnhardt, or not Dale,
Dale Earnhardt.
Dale Earnhardt. That was like the only kind of person like
high profile death in a sporting event in this country.
Obviously, back in the day when I forget the college player collapsed on the court.
And there was Len Bias, who
Len Bias. That's what I was.
He didn't. I don't think he died during gameplay though. I think he died at a post draft party.
So, that I'm thinking of the. There's someone who collapsed on the court, but it was quite a while ago. But it's just something that you just don't.
It's something you can't erase from your memory.
Right. Yeah. Like, this is definitely going to be a game and a day that you kind of never forget. especially when it's like on national TV. Like I was watching the Cavs that day, and I'm on social media, I'm on Twitter, and you just hear all this stuff, and like you have to switch over to it. It's one of those kind of where were you kind of you got to turn the channel to see what's going on
Yeah.
situations.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was in the other boat. I was watching the football game
yeah,
when it happened, and once they say the football game is not going to continue, like I had the opportunity to switch over to the Cavs and watch. Like that was the night Donovan Mitchell went nuts,
yeah,
and like, but I couldn't. I wouldn't have been able to be in the right headspace to shift gears and watch normal sports at that point.
yeah, yeah. It was yeah, scary stuff, and it's great that man. It just seems like he's got some miraculous recovery already.
Yeah, and
Let's see.
the one thing that I will say, I think really should be commended once we kind of get away from, once we kind of pull back from all the recency, but the recency of it, the way that ESPN handled it, the way that they went about their coverage at the game with the studio crew in the booth. And then obviously Scott Van Pelt is incredible in his own right, but the way that he and Ryan Clark handled that whole 2 hour segment immediately following the game, like there was maybe 2 commercials in that entire thing.
Right.
The way that they just kind of talked it out, and they didn't try to report anything that wasn't true. They talked about it. And like that was that. I think that was what everyone needed at that point.
Yep. And those are the situations that you get paid for. Like those kind of like Scott Van Pelt, and he was. I still remember Scott Van Pelt during the lockdowns during COVID. Like he was kind of the voice of sports during that time because there's nothing going on.
Yeah.
It was it was impressive by ESPN, and it's just really cool. It was really great to see that just how great the NFL is at kind of handling this situation, because if he was in any other kind of if he was in college or high school, it's kind of scary what could have been. But
well, I mean, you see stories like this once every few years out of high school where a kid collapses and dies.
Right.
And that a lot of that's probably due to the lack of medical attention that they're able to provide at high schools, which it's a problem in its own right. But not every high school is going to be able to afford that kind of medical staff. Or I think most football games are required to have an AED on site now, just in case. But just the medical attention that he was administered right away, being revived once on the field and then once when they got him to the hospital, like. It's just, it's not something you want to talk about in the NFL.
No.
I mean, you never want to talk about ACLs or concussions either, but I think you take that 100 times out of 100 over a guy almost died on this field tonight.
Yeah, that's what a lot of the players I've been seeing kind of talk about it on ESPN and other places. They sign up for these kind of injuries, these ACLs and stuff like that, but they don't sign up for not getting off the field.
They don't sign up to watch their teammate have to be resuscitated on the field.
Right. Yeah.
Like that's beyond beyond any contract. To quickly bring up the Skip Bayless tweet that said it wasn't Skip Bayless. Someone else tweeted it. Some other asshole tweeted that it's under their contract to keep playing. Like you have to play this.
No.
No, dude, they're watching one of their teammates potentially die on the field.
Right.
Shut the hell up and go crawl in a hole.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So it's great to see that he's getting better, and that his family wants him and he wants them to play. So we'll see how they kind of be interesting to see how they kind of get out of it. It's going to be interesting to see how they kind of play.
I think league wide, it's going to be very interesting to see how the players kind of mentally cope with this weekend.
Yeah.
Because they're still all human. They're not robots.
Right.
I mean, Justin Tucker might be a robot, but they're all human. Like, we don't know how they're going to mentally respond to this. Like, and there's nothing that they're going to be able to do in terms of, oh, well, I'm just not going to play as hard because this happened to him standing up after a pretty routine tackle.
Yeah.
Like,
that's the scary part about it. It wasn't even like a bad. I've seen 3 million worse hits.
No, I mean, we watched what happened to Ryan Shazier. I mean, even for the Browns, I mean, the hits that Muhammad Massaquoi took and Josh Cribbs took in the same game, like 15 years ago.
Oh God, I can remember that one.
That was rough, but those guys walked off. Once when they came back from commercial and they showed the wide angle of the stadium of the players surrounding him, you knew it wasn't good, and then it turned into an hour of the same shot. So to see how the league responds is going to be interesting. Not the league itself, but the players in the league, and then to see particularly how the Bengals and the Bills respond.
Yeah,
given that they saw it, how are they going to be? How are they going to be like if they came out and played, for lack of a better phrase, haunted this weekend? I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah,
like there's nothing that prepares you for seeing that. These aren't war veterans. These are football players.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And kind of going off of a little kind of change of direction, but going off of that, it's going to be interesting. Yeah, as you said, how the NFL reacts just in terms of playoff seeding and like it just in like not to be crass or anything, but like just the timing of it has kind of put them in a weird position, I'll say.
Yeah, because if this happens earlier in the season,
they have plenty of time to make it up.
There's a chance to find a week to make it up, move buys around,
we've
do
seen,
all that stuff.
And we've seen it in the COVID years where they're playing on Wednesdays. So like they can figure it out, but like you're 1 week away from the playoffs.
Yeah, and this game was going to potentially determine who gets a bye. Like this wasn't a nothing game. This was one of the most important games of the season, and it's going to go down as a no contest,
right?
Which is, I think, the official league stance now.
Yeah, but it's going to be interesting to see what they kind of do and how to do tiebreakers and all that. It's probably going to be winning percentages, I would assume, for seeding. They did bring up an eighth team, which I'm not sure about. That'll be a weird.
I feel like you would have had to made that announcement by now because you're going into the final week of the season, and
that's like a big like. There's teams that are like out of it that are not probably going to play people, like Washington. They're playing their backup their third quarterback.
You got to see what you have out of Sam Howell, I guess.
Right. So it's going to be interesting to see. I would assume they would announce it by tomorrow at the latest, but we'll see. So we get to week 18 here. The Browns are
dead. Even with 8 teams, they are dead.
I know they are dead. Yes, I know. We all kind of raised our eyebrows when that report came out, and they're like, "Oh, is there a chance?"
Like, wait, no, they have no tiebreakers. They lost those games.
Then you think about it, like, there's like 4 teams still in front of you. So
if they'd have won the games, what's funny is if they'd have won the game. Not only if they'd have won the games if you win the Jets game, you're 8-8, and you're probably tied with a bunch of those teams you lost to. If you win the Chargers game on top of that, you're 9-7 and ahead of everyone that's fighting for that last playoff spot.
Like we've been saying it the past couple of weeks, it just comes back to the Jets game.
It comes like that's the game you should easily win. The Chargers did as much to lose that game as the Browns did. The Browns just lost it. So you've made your bed. Don't lose 10 games. That's basically where the Browns are at. and I know we're going to get to it, so this feels like a good place to transition into it. The quotes coming out of the locker room today kind of feel very much like a dead team,
Yeah.
which is interesting because they were a dead team last week, and they still played. They played a team that was still alive, and they beat them badly. So
Right. You would
like
think of it would come after like the loss, but like
yeah, I think now they're staring at the end of another season, and like
yeah.
I think, I mean, given Joe Wood's comments today, it definitely seems like he's out. Um, in one sense, I kind of feel bad for him because his comments to the media today were, I mean, they were very human in
Sad?
a sense.
Would
They were
you
very
say
human in a
sad?
sense.
Yeah.
Like he knows what's about to happen, and
Yeah.
there's nothing he can do about it except for
Like,
move on.
yeah.
He much like the Browns, he made his bed, and
Right.
now
That's
he's
why
got
I
to.
don't really feel sorry. I like these guys are getting highly paid, so and he'll find a job somewhere as an
Oh
assistant.
yeah, I mean he'll be fine in the long
Yeah,
run,
I don't
but
really feel bad for him. Sorry. But yeah, so as you pointed out, Clowney came out. Actually, the quotes came out kind of today.
20 minutes
Uh,
ago.
yeah, it's kind of alluding to the situation that's been happening on defense.
Yeah,
It's been pretty quiet, I would say, this season. There's been like early in the season there would be like these kind of offhanded like communication still a problem and stuff like that, but it never got to like the coaches almost. It's this is the first week where it's like like this is right on the coaches. As Clowney said, it was the Baltimore game where they were preparing for him to be on one side of the line, and then they like just changed up on him on game day, and then
yeah,
he didn't want to play, so which I didn't know. It's funny, it's like going back to that game, like I didn't really because they won, and I think it was because Deshaun Watson was playing in the game, so you don't. A lot of things can be overshadowed, but
yeah. And
like
it sounded like the defense played particularly well. The Ravens just refused to score points.
right, and you didn't really notice that. Oh, Clowney didn't get full snaps or wasn't out there as much as he usually is. So, yeah, and then he just kind of pointed out that he probably won't be back unless there's a shakeup, which he's kind of pointed out. Like there's rumors that there is a shakeup.
Yeah, I mean,
Maybe he'll be back.
there's been too much smoke for that in the last
Yeah.
little bit.
Yeah, we already are getting lists of candidates. Like I've seen 2 or 3 Cleveland and national reporters kind of report out lists of defense coordinators already. So, like, I think we're down the line already.
Yeah, I think that I mean the Joe Wood ship has sailed. When did we pronounce it dead this year? Was it the Patriots game? I think we officially called it the Patriots game.
Like when did they had like a good like they had 2 games in a row that was really good, and then or not really good but better, and then just like collapsed again. I think you were right. It was like the Patriots game where they just like,
well, I mean they didn't play well against the Chargers, but they played well enough to win. I think no, it was. I mean, if you want to go to two straight decent games followed by a what the hell just happened, it was Ravens Bengals into Dolphins.
Dolphins, yeah.
Yeah, I think Dolphins game, I think we probably called it. I mean, it probably should have been called against the Patriots when you get lit up by Bailey Zappi. But
right. Yep. Sort of like when you get lit up by like Duck Hodges and shit and stuff like that. So.
But you look back on it, then after the Bills game, they go out and beat the Bucks, and then they scored 3 touchdowns against the Texans, and like the defense is too up and down, too inconsistent.
That's the big problem. Yeah,
they have. It's pretty clear that they have some talent. They just don't utilize it right. So I don't think Joe Woods really has much of a leg to stand on anymore. I think we gave him a chance at the end of last season because the defense played pretty well down the stretch. Like, I wouldn't have argued for his firing, but I wouldn't have argued for him to stay either last year.
Right.
Because they had a really good stretch at the end of the season. They
Yeah.
just they lost 16-14 to Vegas because they had Nick Mullins play quarterback. They had
Right.
Baker Mayfield throw 4 picks in Green Bay. They lost to Pittsburgh, like
And some of
16-10
the
Baltimore. Like
right.
that stretch from Baltimore 1 through Pittsburgh on January 3rd, the defense didn't lose any of those games. The offense did.
Right.
So
It's kind of interesting that as we look back in the last couple of games, like who we faced and the weather conditions, like the defense has
yeah,
been definitely aided. I think the Buffalo game was kind of the biggest surprise because they played pretty well against Josh Allen, but that was when Josh Allen and Buffalo was kind of struggling a little bit. So it's just one of those things where I think they're performing better, but like you got to kind of look at the outside stuff. Like they're getting aided by quite a bit of stuff here, and it just goes back to the consistency. They haven't been consistent all throughout his career, his tenure here.
no, and the
Every
issues with
year
the
they
run
start off
defense.
like crap.
The issues with the run defense aren't necessarily his fault. I mean, yes, a lot of it is scheme, but as we've gone down towards the end of the season, like they don't have anyone left to play the middle of the field. When you're
Right. Yeah.
starting Grant Delpit at linebacker, you're down real bad.
Yeah. Um,
So, like, he's not done anything to save his job. He's done more to hurt his job, but there's also things that are out of his control. Andrew Berry signed him those D tackles. He didn't sign those D tackles.
right.
I don't
Yeah.
think anyone in their right mind would sign those D tackles.
The thing that kind of pointed like last week kind of stuck out to me was the blitz or it wasn't even a blitz. It was Myles Garrett pass rushing from the middle. That was like the
Yeah.
first time I've ever seen it. Like at
It's
least,
happened a couple times this season, but
but
not
like
as
stand up,
much
like
as you'd like to see it,
right, and that's
because
like kind of
he
the
absolutely
situation.
destroyed a center.
Yeah, and it was like you noticed it right ahead. Like he stood up, he was standing up, and he just was like he got through the line so easily, and you're like thinking like
Why aren't
I
we
don't
doing
ever
this more?
remember like why is this why is this a new thing? Why am I seeing this for the first time? Like, and that's some of the things like you
What
never
do?
saw, right? You never saw the creativity of the defense. Like you never see any like exotic blitzes, especially when Clowney was out and you needed help with Miles. Like you never saw any like kind of exotic blitzes or disguising the defense, disguising the coverages was one of the big things. Like opposing offenses would say post game that it wasn't hard to figure out what they were doing. Like
Yeah,
that
I
was
think
kind of the big thing.
the main thing that we were harping on this early in the season.
Yeah.
But like one of the main things that we wanted to see was defensive creativity,
Right.
and they only brought it out a few times,
Right.
and that's
Right.
why they're like, what is the defensive coordinator doing if you're not doing creative things to stop the offense?
Yeah. Right. Right. Like what is your job? Like what are you doing here? You're just putting the guys out there. Like
What exactly is it that you do?
right. Yeah, and as we talked about it, it just seemed like a defense that the players weren't comfortable with. Have been remarks all season where it took way too long for guys to kind of say, "Hey, I think we're finally getting into the mode, or getting into comfortable
Yeah,
situations."
when
Like,
guys aren't comfortable until like week 8,
right,
you've done something wrong.
right, and that was the problem. Like every year, like they started off crappy every year. Like these first few games matter. Like you can't just start off crappy every year and then work into it. Like this is the NFL. You can't just kind of work into things.
Yeah.
Um, So, yeah. So it looks like Joe Woods is out the door. Mike Prefer, I don't know. His unit has been playing better, which is interesting. It's still kind of I still question his handling of Cade York. Um, it seems like he's been
I don't know what
struggling.
he's done in the second half. I mean, if he's been
Right,
coaching him, then he's been doing well because
right,
Cade
yeah,
York's been not as much of a problem.
yeah,
Aside from, I mean, the game against at the end of the game against Baltimore,
right,
but there was some weather in that one, and
right.
if you're missing as many field goals as Justin Tucker, then eh.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't know what's gonna happen with Mike Prefer. It just seems like Brown's special teams coaches have just been Teflon. It doesn't
Yeah,
matter
I mean,
what it
special
does.
teams coaches are hard to fire because if you get a good one, and that's what we thought we were getting when we brought in Mike Prefer, like, is the grass always greener? No.
Yeah, right,
I think you're going to see obviously defensive turnover. I think you're going to see some offensive turnover.
right.
I would say the chances that we see a new special teams coach are probably less than 50%.
I would
I
think
wouldn't
so.
be
Yeah,
surprised if we bring in a kind of kicking specialist or we just
somebody.
hire Phil
Yeah,
Dawson. I don't know.
that would be nice. I would.
There's no
Guy
one that
knows
knows the wind in
guy
that
knows how to
stadium better
kick
than
in
him.
Cleveland, right? Kick in Cleveland. You might as well get an expert.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting off season.
Yeah.
It's not going to be like a normal
No, because
where everybody.
you're not, like, contrary to what everyone thinks, this team isn't like 12 players away.
No,
There may be 5 and some better coaches, and better
exactly.
coaches are willing to come to a good roster. Like,
Yeah,
this team isn't that far off.
no,
I mean,
no,
if you
not
look
at all.
at it, like, even if you go and you you keep all the games the same, but you don't blow the Jets game, and Cade York makes the field goal against the Chargers, you're 10-5 right now, or 10-6.
Yep.
Like, you're 10 and
Yeah.
6, and you're in, or no, you're 9-6, and you're a win away from the playoffs with a backup quarterback for the entire season, and Joe Woods coaching the defense. Like,
Yeah.
you're not that far off.
Right. Yeah. 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 It's
So,
just kind of
like, the people that are advocating for a total blow up, like,
no.
I, when has that worked for us? In the last 23 years, when has that worked for us?
Right. I think it seemed like it kind of quieted a little bit over the past couple games because they won.
Yeah, they won one of them. I mean,
Yeah.
not showing that you're not quitting on the head coach in a week 17 game that doesn't matter is usually a big step
Yes.
towards, maybe we shouldn't fire this guy.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Now, had the offense been as bad in the second half as they were in the first half and they still won the game, you still might be hearing that right now. But the fact that the offense was able to go and score on 3 straight drives in that second half made a big difference, I think, in the discourse this week.
Yep. Yep.
And, if they go and beat the Steelers, who, let's be honest, aren't that good.
Hey, they beat Baltimore
I,
last week.
I was looking at their, they've won like 5 of 6, right? After losing to the Bengals on November 20th, 37-30, they have played Matt Ryan, Marcus Mariota, Tyler Huntley, Sam Darnold, Derek Carr in his last start for the Raiders, and Tyler Huntley.
Good Lord. That's called lucky draw there, man.
No team they've played have scored more than 17 points. Is some of that the defense? Maybe. But a lot of that is playing offenses that are just not good.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good that's a good kind of change of pace here. Let's move to Pittsburgh and kind of take a look at them. Just looking at the roster, it's just another great kind of coaching job by Tomlin. Like you look at their offense, it's average.
Not good.
Yeah. No, yeah.
Again, they have good receivers, but not a quarterback that's consistent enough to get it to him.
Right.
He's gotten 2 game-winning drives.
Average.
Yeah.
At best.
Najee Harris has looked a lot better the last couple weeks, but
yeah, Najee's probably is a good young guy too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, they've gotten really. Yeah, but it's hard to overlook their schedule as they've gone from 3-7 to 8-8.
Yeah,
it's hard to overlook what their schedule has been.
Definitely,
their quote unquote best win is probably. I mean, I don't know how much you can consider Baltimore a good win right now. Their offense has been trash for the last 2 months. Well, since Lamar went out, their best win is probably in Carolina.
Oh God,
which isn't saying a whole lot,
right?
So
there now,
and knowing people that went there, it was basically a home game for them anyway.
Yeah, a lot of that is Pittsburgh when they're playing some crappy or not a very big football town,
or a team in the South in general.
Yes, they get a lot of fans there.
And I'm looking at it and like their averages. I know, and that averages aren't necessarily the whole story, but statistically, they have a worse defense than the Browns by 2.5 yards. So not much, but
now we could say that without TJ Watt is obviously
it's much different with TJ Watt out there. But they do stop the run well. They haven't stopped the pass very well. A lot of that is probably TJ Watt related.
Because they didn't have any pass rush pretty much without. They have Highsmith, he's like solid, but like they have Hayward, and that's about it. Like they,
and for all of his faults stopping the run while he was here, I'm drawing a blank on his name. Ogunjobi. He is a decent pass rusher as a defensive tackle.
He is, yeah.
So, like, they still have some pass rush.
But
I would say that the Browns' offensive line is probably in better shape than the Ravens' offensive line right now. In terms of health, I think Ronnie Stanley was out of the game on Sunday night. But this should be like if you took the team names away and said this team is on the road facing this team, and the other team is one game better than the team on the road, you'd say that the team on the road probably has a good chance to win. Yeah. But then when you throw the team names back on it, you're like, no.
Yes. Yes. It's and then the last thing, kind of talking about the Pittsburgh, they're still
alive.
Yes, mathematically alive. And
they're not only are they mathematically alive, they need to win. They obviously need to win, but the things that they need to happen to boost them in
is going to be during that time.
Aren't impossible. They're not impossible. I think they need the Jets to lose, and the Jets are starting a CFL quarterback, and they need. I forget if they need the Dolphins or the Patriots to lose.
Yeah.
They need one of the other AFC East teams to lose.
Yeah. And the thing is that they're going to be alive while they're playing, because I think all the games are during that time slot at 1:00. So motivation might be a key.
How much do the Browns actually want to be there?
Yeah, because we know what Pittsburgh needs, and we know Pittsburgh's still alive. Like, are the Browns? Do they want to be the spoiler like they were last week? They look really good doing that.
Yeah.
Obviously, they played Carson Wentz. That helps. But yeah, it's that's going to be kind of a factor in that. And it's.
I mean, we saw the Browns come out and play motivated last week,
right?
we saw the Browns come out and play motivated against, granted, it was the Bengals backups last year in week 18.
Yeah.
We saw them come out and play. They won the game. So I don't think it's a matter of this team giving up on Stefanski at this point. The defense might have given up on Joe Woods, but they're still going out there and playing for themselves like they have been for most of the second half of the season. As we've said a few times, all the defensive plays are individual efforts more than they are scheme.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
This isn't a typical Browns going into Pittsburgh in the final week of the regular season kind of game. Like, the Browns are probably the better team.
But the other team somehow is playing for something.
Yeah.
That's pretty much the Cleveland Browns season this year.
Yeah, I mean, that's just kind of the mojo between the Browns and the Steelers. Like, the Steelers can have a decidedly worse season and still be alive in Week 18 when the Browns are not.
Yeah.
Now, there are some people that are saying, why, like, wouldn't we rather have the fourth place schedule next year? No, not really. I don't really want to have to go to Denver if I don't have to, because I imagine they're going to figure their shit out, and they're not going to be as bad next year. And that defense is really good still. That defense isn't going anywhere. It's whether or not they can figure out how to use their offense. So I'd rather not go to Denver if I don't have to.
Yeah.
And I don't want to finish behind the Steelers in the standings. I mean, the Browns shouldn't want to finish behind the Steelers in the standings.
And it'd be nice to give Tomlin his first under 500 season. That would be nice.
Yeah, that would be a nice little kind of
nice
little cherry on the shit show that was our season.
Yeah, and once again, it's another chance for Deshaun Watson to kind of get going.
I would say that it's
all get going in the second half, and let's see if we can get a full game of it.
No real offense to the people of Cincinnati, but if they had truth serum, they would agree to it too. This is going to be his most hostile road game that he's going to face this year. Cincinnati won't have anything on a playoff-hungry Pittsburgh fan base.
Yeah.
The things Deshaun Watson is going to hear on Sunday are probably shouldn't be even repeated on HBO.
Oh, God. Yeah.
So
that is a good point. Yeah, it's gonna be a hostile environment. Especially I mean, amped up for the playoff, trying to get in the playoffs here. Good point.
It's not a game that's going to be easy, but they have the pieces to do it.
Yep. That is the I think we say that every day, every game. They have the pieces to do it. It's a matter of actually doing it. Keys of the game is kind of for me motivation. Second half, Deshaun Watson, and don't do stupid stuff that you usually do against Pittsburgh.
Yeah. Don't get kicked in the face by a punt returner.
Yes.
Don't. What are some other bad things that have happened? As a coaching staff, don't send your concussed quarterback out there to try and leave a game-winning drive. Don't kick a field goal into the open end of the stadium. Don't step on a terrible towel. That seems to bring on bad luck.
Oh, yeah.
For some reason. Ask the Bengals.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Be the better football team. You are.
Right. Play to your talent level would be the nice thing.
I mean, that would be a good – in general, I think people would feel a lot better going into the offseason with a meaningless win over the Pittsburgh Steelers to knock them out of the playoffs than they would a loss. People say that it doesn't matter right now, but the discourse for the next couple weeks would feel so much better if the Steelers are sitting home with you.
Yep. Definitely true. Yeah. Okay, doke. Let's get to our picks of last week, and then our final 10. I did 10 this week to make it a nice round number.
Trying to make up the gap.
I made it a round number, but yes, it could be helpful. So last week you were 5-4. I was 4-5. You were correct on the Browns plus 2.5. They're plus 14. I was correct on the over/under of 40.5. They scored 34. I was correct on Deshaun Watson. He was under 245.5. He was at 200 for total yards. Taylor, you were correct on 81.5 rushing yards for Nick Chubb. He had 104. We were both correct on Brian Robinson over 64.5 rushing yards. I'll keep going. We'll get Taylor back here. I think he lost connection. But we were both correct on that. There, and he's back.
Oh, I'm back. Okay, I thought I lost you, and I thought I was gonna have to carry it again.
Oh yeah, and we're back. Okay. So yeah, Brian Robinson, he had 87. So that was. I think we talked about it. That was like the easiest one we were gonna.
Yeah, that was an easy one. That was way too low of a number.
The kind of surprising one was Terry McLaurin was 61.5 receiving yards. He was not even close. He had 25, and you were right on that one.
No, Logan Thomas led, and I think my prediction was that Dotson would have more yards, and I think he did by 4.
Yeah. None of it was Logan Thomas. I think he had like 50 something.
Yeah,
he didn't even have 61. Uh-oh. Losing him again.
Yep.
And we're back. Okay, so most receiving yards for the Browns, it was Cooper and Taylor. You had that correct. Who had the most sacks?
On 3 receptions.
Yes, I know. 3 big receptions. Yes.
Yeah.
Who gets the most sacks? It was Washington, 5-3. I was correct on that, and then we were both wrong. We both picked Washington. And the Browns won.
We were both down pretty bad last week.
Yeah.
Carson Wentz to beat us.
Right. I know. Each week it changes every week. Are we up or down on them? Okay, so I am now 54-56, and you are 61-49. So I am down 6 to see if
so I need to go 3-7, and you need to go 7-3.
Yes. So let's see if I can do it. Probably not. Don't hold your breath.
You need to get 8 wins, and I have 2 wins to win.
Or I can just go perfect. Let's just do it. I'm going perfect this week. Betting is alive now, and we can go perfect. So,
now it just means more.
Now it matters. Okay, so the Browns are now +3 to enter the week, according to most books. I'm going to go Browns. I don't know. What are you going with?
I'm gonna go Browns as well.
Yeah,
unlike last week where I picked them to lose, I'm gonna. I'll spoil it now. I'm gonna pick them to win. I picked them to cover 2.5 last week, and still picked them to lose. But I think ultimately they'll probably win this week.
Okay, yeah, I got Browns too. It's I think we're both on the Browns train this week, but. Over under 40.5 points. They've been way under the last couple weeks, but
2 weeks ago that's expected. Last week I think it was unexpected. The Commanders just couldn't figure out a way to score if it was right in front of them.
Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
But the offense did wake up in the second half, so
I think
this is a lot tougher.
I think I'm going to go over.
You're gonna go over?
I wouldn't expect it to be over by much if it is.
Okay. I'm gonna go under just to start being different here. But I also think they've been the Browns games have not been scoring much.
Yeah.
Like it's been I think the under has hit quite kind of almost every week the past couple weeks, seems like. So I'll go under. I think it'll be a lot closer I think it might be like 39, 38. Like it could be really close to it.
Yeah.
But one of those things, it's just like Pittsburgh kind of has a crappy offense too. So it's going to be another week. I think the defense plays better than the score represent. The Browns will hold the defense will hold them from scoring again because they're playing a crappy offense. So
Yeah,
I'll go with
that's the
under.
hope anyway.
Yeah, that's the hope. Over under Deshaun Watson total yards 210.
Well, as long as he doesn't lay a complete egg in the first half, he should top that. So I'm going to go over.
Okay. Let's see. Don't want to agree with you on all of them, but this one, man, this is going to be a good one. I'm going to go under just to be different again. But it's another. I think it'll be more spread out, sort of like last week. And they do have a good defense, so it's going to be a solid defense, we'll say, especially with T.J. Watt back. So I'm going to go under barely. I think he'll get 200 or something like that, but it just doesn't seem like they're running him as much. So I think it's going to have to be something where he's going to have to pass for 200 yards. But yeah, it could. I think I say under, but we'll see. 81 and a half rushing yards for Nicholas Chubb.
I had to pull up his stats just to kind of see what he's done against the Steelers lately. He did go for 113 in their game earlier this season. That was without Watt. I think the Steelers still gave up a bunch of yards to the Ravens last week, despite putting 6 dudes on the line of scrimmage for most of the game.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, the Ravens are going to do what the Ravens do. They still gave up 4.3 yards a carry with 5 or 6 guys on the line of scrimmage. So I want to say over, but I don't think it'll be by a lot. I don't see this as a game where Chubb gets to 100. If it is, then they'll win by probably 8 or 9 points.
Yeah,
just like they did the first time.
So are you going over?
Yeah, I'll go over.
Okay. I'm going to go over too. Let's see. You know what? I'm going to go under.
Screw it.
Screw it. We're going for the win. I think he'll get 80. Or no, he'll get 81. I'll win by half a point.
Nice.
Yeah, so I'll go under. It could be another week where we might see a little bit more of can't think of his name right now. Ford. Jerome Ford.
Yeah. I gotta wonder what's gonna be left in the tank as far as giving Kareem Hunt carries.
Yeah, I'm hoping that they kind of just shut the door and say, hey, it's great we had you the past couple of years, but time to move on and let's try this young guy. And because past couple of weeks, it's been hard to watch Kareem Hunt. For rooting for him the past so many years, it's just been like he's a shell of himself right now. And he's not producing at all. So it would be nice to see the young guy step up and get score carries. So I'll say Jerome kind of shows more, gets more run and takes some of the yards from Chubb. So I'll go under. Next one, over under Najee Harris, 74.5 rushing yards. He only averages 50 something, I think. 50.
Yeah, I'm looking at his stats now. He's had 5 games this year over that mark. They've all come since November 13th. He only had 56 against the Browns the first time. So, that was the game Anthony Walker got hurt. I don't remember when he got hurt. I think it was before halftime, wasn't it?
I
I don't remember when he went down, but
think it was.
I don't have any faith that this defense is going to stop the run. So over, even though it feels like the worst bet because he doesn't go over very much.
And I will take under. Yeah, I think they'll have to pass more. I think they're going to get behind early. I just kind of think that.
That'd be the hope.
And contrary to the rest of their defense or rest of their coaching staff, their offense coordinator is
really bad.
God awful.
Yeah.
Browns fans are critical of Stefanski, but my God, Stefanski
watch Matt Canada.
Yeah, Stefanski is like a god next to Matt Canada. Like he is god awful. Yeah. So I think he'll be under. Not due to kind of the defense, but more to kind of the offense playing complementary football.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll say that. Next one is most receiving yards for the Browns: Cooper, DPJ, Njoku, or the field.
Let's see. Looking at their stats from last time when Brissett was the quarterback in nice weather. I don't know what the weather in Pittsburgh is this week, but I'm not gonna put enough effort into looking it up.
I'm gonna go Cooper just to tell you.
Yeah, Cooper was 7 for 101 and a touchdown against the Steelers last time. I was gonna say it felt like a DPJ game, but I'm looking at it and he had 1 for 10 last time they played the Steelers.
He could be motivated to get to 1,000 yards though. Who knows?
How close is he?
I think he's a little over 100. I think maybe.
He would need 203.
Oh, okay, never mind. Well,
he would need one of the greatest receiving games in the history of the league.
We'll have some Josh Gordon numbers.
I'm going to go Njoku.
Njoku? Okay.
Who has not been playing well lately, so it'd be nice to see him kind of finish on a good note.
Yeah. That's I agree with that. Okay, Njoku, and I'll go with Cooper. Okay, and then we're doing the most receiving yards for the Steelers. Deontay Johnson, Pat Fairmouth, George Pickens, or Field. It's kind of interesting. They're very close. Like they don't have like Deontay Johnson talent wise. I think would be considered the best, but then George Pickens has kind of came on the.
Yeah, it seems like George Pickens and Kenny Pickett have a pretty good thing going on.
And then you have the Browns versus the tight ends, so you always can put.
Yeah, which weirdly enough has been better this year.
It has, yeah.
It's not been a total dumpster fire, which I guess is better.
Hey, they shut down Andrews. They shut down Mark Andrews.
Yeah. So I think my pick is going to be Deontay Johnson. He had a good game against the Browns the last time. I think they'll probably dedicate Ward to Pickens. Probably, because Pickens has been so good lately. Deontay Johnson, I don't even know if he didn't feel like he even played last week, given what they were doing. But
right, okay,
yeah, I'll go Johnson.
I'll go Pickens then. I'll go Pickens. He's hot right now, and as you said, it seems like
Pickett likes him.
I was going to say Pickens though, but Pickett is comfortable with Pickens. So, okay, next one is most sacks: Browns or Steelers?
Steelers. I mean, there's obviously been a lot of games in the past where the Browns have completely shredded the Steelers' offensive line, but I think the Steelers' offensive line is in better shape than some of the other ones we've seen in the past. So
yeah,
I'm gonna go Steelers on this one.
Okay, I'll go Browns. I looked at PFF's kind of grading of their weakest points are their tackles. So that's a very good sign for Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney. Maybe Jadeveon will be motivated to show off,
Yeah.
show Joe Woods what he's messing with. So I'll go with Browns.
Quick aside, those comments were the least least this era of Browns things to come out of that organization that I've seen in a while. Like this era has been very tight-lipped about everything.
That's
and those
true.
comments were just like, you got Davian Clowney drunk in a bar.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's weird. It like came out like hours ago, like just a couple hours ago. It was weird timing. It was, yeah. Yeah. Okay. I'll go Browns. You go Steelers. It, just going based on history, uh, the Steelers have won that matchup. I think a lot of the times because of T.J. Watt. So, but I don't think he's really 100%. It seems like so it'll be a close matchup there. That's why I picked that one. There's what probably the two top three edge rushers in the league. So yeah, that's going to be a fun matchup to watch. Next one is who wins the turnover battle. So who has the most turnovers? Browns or Steelers? So not who forces it, but who actually turns the ball over.
I think the Steelers do. I don't think this is going to be a turnover heavy game by any means, but I think the Steelers do. Kenny Pickett is due.
Let me just before you, so you can have a chance to even say this, or tie. I'll say that. So there's no tie there. So Browns, Steelers, or tie. Do you want to go with?
I'll go Steelers still.
Steelers still. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll go with tie. And then you're going with Steelers. Yeah, Pickens. That's going to be so hard to talk about.
Yeah, that's annoying.
The Steelers are going to be so hard to talk about. The young quarterback's going to be. It's going to be tough. He can definitely turn the ball over. Browns have been actually kind of. The defense has actually turned teams over lately.
Yeah, which they could have used earlier in the season.
Right. God, it took so many weeks to get a turnover. It seemed like in those first couple games. Okay, so
nothing went right until everything was done.
Right, until it didn't matter. Okay, last one. Final score prediction of our season finale. What you got?
I got to get over 40.5. So let me go. I think I'll go 27-17 Browns.
27-17. So that would be what, 44?
Yep.
44. Okay. I'm gonna go Browns, as we were saying earlier.
As we've already said.
Right. I will go 27 to 20. What did they score last week? 24, right?
24.
So I'll go 27. 27-13.
Got to keep it under.
Got to get that under there. One field goal for the Browns, 3 touchdowns, and then we'll say 2 field goals and a touchdown. So they will have 3 scoring drives, Pittsburgh. But the Browns will, which they've been playing better at, kind of holding teams to field goals lately. So I think that trend continues, especially against this shitty offense.
I just hope that it's like a comfortable 27-13 and we don't get halfway through the third quarter with the Browns down
right
or tied at 13.
Yeah, it would be nice if they like started the game with like they did in the second half.
Yeah, remember when we were mocking them for always scoring on the first drive and then it not mattering.
Right? Yeah,
I missed that. I missed those days.
What happened to the Stefanski script magic, man? We haven't seen that in. Ooh, has Watson scored? I don't think so. Right?
I don't think they've scored on a first possession.
Yeah, it's
with him
been since Brissett. Wow. I would think it was Brissett's Tampa Bay.
The Tampa game.
Scored,
the Tampa game.
The first game. Wow, that's crazy. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Browns 27-13 for Taylor and Browns 27. Oh wait, I have that.
I had 27-17. You had 27-13.
Yeah. Yeah. So Taylor had 27-17. I had 27-13 Browns. So we're both on the same page on who's winning.
General feel of the game.
General, yes.
We just need something different out of it for picks.
Right. Yes. And that'll be. I think both scores will be. It would be a nice kind of fitting, not fitting in, but nice end to the season to kind of get some good mojo going in the off season.
Yeah.
I know.
I mean, any win would be good, but a nice, comfortable win would definitely feel a lot better.
And a high scoring output by the offense would be nice too. Just get that unit going. Yeah. Any final thoughts before we get out of here?
No. Just
cool.
Hopefully they win.
Yes. Hopefully they win. Give us one more smile for the end of the season.
Yeah.
Please. And then then you can make over your defense in the next couple weeks.
Yeah. Be an attractive destination for a coach.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, thanks for joining, everybody. This is the last preview show of the 2022-23 season. Appreciate everybody tuning in every week. It's been fun. We'll be back after the game to wrap things up, talk about the game and everything else about this season. So
then we'll be around when big news happens because it definitely will.
Oh, yeah. So thanks for joining us. This is WFNY BrownsCast, part of the Evergreen Podcast Network, and we'll be back after the game. Thanks for joining us, and go Browns.